Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. Oh viewers, we're ticking off the generations of Kia Rio on this channel. We've had the 3rd generation and the 4th generation Kia Rio, and now we have a 1st generation one. This is a 2000 Kia Rio 1.5 LS automatic, and before you start telling me they didn't import the Kia Rio into this country until 2001. This is because this is not a UK market car. It's also a trim level we didn't get over here. Although the 1.5 engine was available, it was actually imported, we believe, in about 2006 from Australia, which is amazing. It's got an aftermarket headlight switch and everything like that, fog lamp switch and everything like that as well, because in Australia at the time, I don't know if this has changed now, you didn't actually need to have any fog lamps at the back. It's not a separate fog lamp or anything like that, but it just makes the connection work. So open up the boot. I don't know why there's no sort of ring around the Kia badge at the back. There was a saloon available in other markets, but we only got the hatchback stroke estate body style like this one. I'm not going to lift up the boot floor because Andrew, who's very kindly lent me this car, has all kinds of stuff in here, but there is a spare wheel under there. Boot capacity probably is about 350 litres, which is quite big for a car of this size and its age. It's funny where Kia was sort of positioning this car when it was new, which is totally different now from what it is. It's just a conventional Super Mini, whereas this, I don't really know what segment it fitted in. They had the Schumer and the Mentor on sale at the same time as this, so I don't really know where exactly this fitted into the range, apart from being just a sort of cheaper car. One thing that's got in common with a lot of Japanese and Korean cars of this age is a slight propensity for corrosion, which you will see on both the arches, but that is all the corrosion on the car. That is it. Which is pretty good actually. A lot of Mazdas and Hondas of this era actually do suffer from similar kind of corrosion, along with many other types of cars, so it's nothing unusual. If we get in the back, see that with the seat in my driving position, I'm about 5'11". There's not an awful lot of room if I put the seat where I want to have it, so we'll just sit in like that. We've actually got 4 cup holders in this car, which is remarkable for its era. The headroom is fairly good. Headlining's not even sagging on this car, which is remarkable actually. It's really good. Very sort of 90s style, sort of basic car fabric here, which you know, is to be expected really. There's no central armrest as far as I can see in here or anything like that. No, there isn't one. Seats fold down 60/40. Of course I won't bother doing that. Also got plenty of storage for Peugeot 406 Haynes manuals. We like 406s on this channel, viewers, as you know. And just a very kind of simple looking interior. I quite like it actually. So if we get into the front, notice we don't have any electric windows in this car. A lot of the Rios even sold over here didn't get them either. I'll just shut the door because it's a little bit nasty out there. So inside we've got this, I think, standard stereo, because there's a little tiny Kia badge just there, which is great. It's a CD player. I think that would have come as standard when it was sold new in Australia. Air conditioning, obviously it's an Australian market car. It's apparently very powerful, Andrew tells me, although I don't think we're going to be sampling that today, unfortunately. We've got heated rear window. There's the aftermarket fog lamp fitted there, and very prominent switch for the hazard lights. Open up the glove box, which I'm afraid is not going to fit my secret mission documents in. We do have some lights I'm planning on fitting as well. Stalks are the wrong way round for the preferences of many people in this country, although I know that some of you who are fans of the Hubnut channel will say that is the correct way round, the way it should be. So I won't argue with you. Dashboard is just totally hard plastic, but that's not really a surprise. I think the European market ones have got twin airbags. We've only got one airbag in this particular car. We do, however, have a rev counter, which is all very luxurious. Automatic transmission in this particular car, normal handbrake. I don't tend to put handbrakes on in automatic cars for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think you actually need to a lot of the time. Got door pockets in here. I think they'll take me secret mission documents. Yes. And then we've got the separate controls for the rear wiper over here. Obviously, if this was a saloon, you wouldn't be using that at all. But this has the rear wiper and a rear washer, which is lots of fun. No sunroof or anything in this car. I presume they thought with air conditioning you don't need it. And I presume you could fit a double-din stereo in this as well if you really wanted to. So far, viewers, it's shaping up to be terribly exciting. So Kia branded this engine Me-Tech for some reason. They put a big plastic cover on it, but this is just the good old Mazda B engine. It's the same one as in the Kia Pride that we tested on No Budget Reviews last year. In this particular car, it's a 1.5 litre developing 105 horsepower. Now, the European models of this got only 98 horsepower, so I'm not actually sure what the power output of this car is, because it's an Australian one. I really couldn't tell you. It's somewhere between the two. Very easy to work on this in comparison to a lot of other modern cars, but you have to get that plastic cover out of the way for doing some stuff. Andrew says that that's just sealant, which I obviously believe. There's nothing kind of terrifying. You just see here it says built November 2000. So yeah, there's the proof. And on an X plate, probably one of the only Rios you'll ever see on an X plate, and it's really quite a good condition here. You can see it does have air conditioning because it actually has a sticker telling you it does. Yes, cam belt engine, so just obviously make sure if you're buying one of these that the cam belt's been done. But other than that, it's pretty simple. There's not too much to say really. Well, viewers, welcome to a little drive of the first generation Kia Rio with my rattly camera mount. This is still a temporary one, unfortunately, and also a rattly rear end. Andrew is supposed to fit some new suspension to the back. It's apparently a common problem. The upper mounts apparently do wear on these. I was told the 0 to 60 time in one of these with a 1.5 engine was about 14 seconds with the automatic gearbox, but it doesn't seem to be as bad as that. It seems to be an awful lot quicker, and because the roads are a little bit damp today, it keeps trying to spin the tyres, which, I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's just marginally disconcerting. I'm not sure I've got any ABS either, so yes, perhaps I'd better just take it gently. Although he did warn me it was a little bit sprightly, and he wasn't wrong. The main engine in this car actually was a very similar engine to the previous Kia Pride, which this sort of replaced really. It's a 1.3 Mazda B engine generating 74 horsepower, and later versions had 80 horsepower. There we go, much smoother takeoff there. Not so much wheel spin, that's good. Lack of wheel spin is probably good. So the 1.3 was really the mainstay of the range. There was only ever one version of this car that was sold with this engine in this country. It wasn't this one, the LS, it was called the SE. And I think for me, if I was going to buy one of these cars, I'd probably go for the 1.5 engine. Although, judging how sprightly this feels, you may not need to do that. Trim levels were base, just Kia rear 1.3. There was an L, and then there was an LX. The SE, of course, was reserved for the 1.5 litre engine. This is just a 4-speed automatic. There was a 5-speed manual available too. There was a facelift in about 2002. This is obviously a pre-facelift car. In fact, it predates all the UK spec cars, so there we go. Later on, the SE was actually dropped. They just went back to 1.3 engine only and L and LX trims, and then for last year of production for our market anyway, they reduced the range just to 1.3 LE and the LE Plus, so different trim lanes. There were also the ICE and ICE Plus special editions, which I presume came with air conditioning. The car actually seems to ride relatively well. It's not too bad on a lot of these services, although the car is very old now, so you can forgive it for not being the best riding car in the world. And considering that I don't think any of them I've seen for sale go for more than £1,000. I mean, do you really mind that sort of thing? It does help though that today, driving around Walsall, that actually the road surfaces are pretty good here. They're not too bad, so maybe more akin to some smooth tarmac elsewhere in something like Australia or Asia. I think Australian roads with tarmac are a bit better than ours. Obviously, they have a lot of dirt roads. So yes, I'm quite enjoying this. I don't know why there's just so much power in this engine. It doesn't really feel under strain particularly at all. I starting to understand why Andrew likes this car so much. He's had it for a couple of years now, and yeah, there's just something about these. A viewer of mine called Stan, who supplied a couple of cars to a channel before, said to me, you should really drive a DC Kia Rio, the Mark 1, like this. And I understand what he was on about now. Bearing in mind that Stan has a K11 Micra, and if you'd like to see that car on No Budget Reviews, please do let me know, and we'll sort out. But he also has that first generation Hyundai Elantra you would have seen, and the Day Next Year automatic. So he's got quite interesting taste in cars, and this is what he really said that I should drive, and I'm very grateful to Stan, obviously being a member of the Soul Classics Facebook group, as is Andrew, for the opportunity to sort of, seek one of these out. There aren't that many of these left now, and maybe that's a shame. So viewers, let's see if we can take this car up to a slightly faster speed and see what happens. Is it all going to fall apart, or is it going to be brilliant? Well, there certainly seems to be enough performance. I mean, gearbox kicks down nicely there we go. It's not the quietest car in the world, but you don't expect it to be really. So if we go through this bend, yeah, there's not a lot of feel through the steering at all. It's not designed to be a rewarding driver's car. It's designed to get you around as efficiently as possible, so you don't really need a lot of steering feel. It doesn't have it. There is also a fair bit of body roll, but that's pretty normal. It doesn't handle like a full Focus or anything like that. But still, I just really like it. Everything's just so easy. I mean, because this is an automatic, it's even easier. I don't know what a manual 1.3 would be like. I mean, perhaps I need to try a 1.3 manual LE Plus and have all the luxury of the late facelift ones. But just sort of gets on with the job. I'm not sure these seats are particularly the most comfortable ones that I've ever sat in, but then the car didn't cost much in the first place. I remember an advert for these back in the day that actually you could make your car into a one that sat an awful lot of people, because you had the kit you needed to set up your own walking bus scheme. And I think you could get these on £1 deposit or something. They were just remarkably kind of sensible and no fuss transport. Hopefully that knock from the rear isn't too loud, as well as the camera mount, but you know, it's no budget views, and that's just the way that it goes. Right, viewers, I think it's time to park up and come to some sort of conclusion about the Mark 1 Kia Rio. One of the interesting things about this car, and it's a similar story with the Pride, is that it was made until much, much later than you think. Looking at the information here in my secret mission documents, it tells me that this car was made in Ecuador until 2013 and Iran until 2012. That's not quite as long as the Cyper Pride, which was in production until last year, but it's remarkable nevertheless. And of course, this was made in Russia as well as South Korea. The 0 to 60 time in this car is something like 14 seconds, although as you saw from the driving section, it feels a lot quicker than that for some reason. So viewers, should you buy a first generation Kia Rio, known as the DC? Well, I don't see why not, as long as you can find one that doesn't have really bad rear suspension like they all seem to do, and Andrew's obviously had to, you know, work on this car. Then yes, this is probably the definition of no budget reviews. A car like this gets you around, not the most exciting or glamorous car, but you know, the engines are relatively reliable, they're quite easy to work on, fuel economy is not too bad, and they're reasonably practical for a car of this type. So anyway, thank you for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Please don't forget to like this video, leave a comment below, switch on notifications to be informed of new uploads, and social media links are down below. Thank you.